Hello, hi everyone, and welcome to the SKIMO GOLD podcast. No, this is not Travis's voice. This is Cam. We are on a USA SKIMO training camp trip in Italy, and Travis is back home in Salida. So we took the opportunity of having four of our top junior racers on the team here to hear about their lives in SKIMO and hear some stories. And I guarantee you'll have some laughs and have a good time. But don't worry, hopefully you'll get Travis's voice in there telling us about camp and Redmond Real Salts later. So just to set the scene a little bit, we are here in Italy for about a week and a half, right?
Yeah.
Did a few days of training on snow on the Stelvio, on Passo Stelvio, which was awesome. And then now doing a week-long dryland camp in San Martino di Castrosa. And I'm here with Landon Jakob, McCall Birkinshaw, Helen Desmond, and Anders Carlson. And we're going to hear all about what they have to say. So thanks you guys for being on the pod.
We're stoked.
Thank you for having us here.
You guys are always stoked. So yeah, this is going to be awesome. Really excited for this. And thank you guys for making your time in the middle of training camp. Because let's be honest, we're all tired.
Yeah.
It's been
It's been a long week.
Yeah.
a lot of fun times.
For sure. We've been skiing, we've been bounding on hills, and we've been having 2.5 hour long dinners here. in
With
Italy.
really good desserts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tiramisu is top notch.
Yeah. Heck yeah. So what I'd love to start with you guys is just going one by one, talking about how you got into SKIMO. Because it's normal for you guys to get into SKIMO, but for most people listening to this, especially in the US, it's like not normal to get into this sport when you're young. So I kind of want to hear like one by one, starting with Landon, how you all got started. How'd you arrive here?
Cool. Yeah. I'm Landon. Hi, guys. I was into mountain biking and I did that starting in 6th grade. I raced the Utah High School Cycling League for Skyline High School. And I just kind of like had fun with it for the first couple of years and really only like biked twice a week and didn't take racing seriously at all. And then I got more into biking like a couple months before I think my freshman year or sophomore year. And then I wanted to join, like I had heard about SKIMO because it's popular with the bike team community, especially Skyline's team. And I had heard about Silver Fork SKIMO, which is our big prominent youth group. And I had wanted to use SKIMO as a way of cross training for biking now that I was getting more into biking and putting more miles on. And then I joined, and that first year, like, kind of just came together with the whole team, and everyone was so inclusive and just fun. And I started traveling for it and racing in, all across the US. And then we all four of us went, and a bunch of others went to Valoran at the end of that season, and did a World Cup there. And it was just kind of like the big thing. And I just like got really into the sport, and I thought that like it took me to such incredible places, and I just like realized that that's kind of what I wanted to focus on.
Amazing. Amazing. Thanks. I definitely want to circle back to Silver Fork and those first World Cup trips. But first, McCall, let's hear from you.
Well, I started SKIMO when I was like 7 or 8. Sarah Cookler, our head of sport at USA, is my neighbor actually, and I was like little with my downhill ski helmet and really thick puffy coat, and she was like, Macaulay, come do some uphill training, just come uphill days. And Anders and I were kind of like the first crew of Silver Fork.
And how old were you?
I was like
at this
7
point?
or 8.
Yeah,
Like I was
right.
little. And I honestly, like, it was really fun. The community, I was like definitely the youngest kid. So the social aspect was just different from what it is now, definitely an older crew. But I had a lot of fun. And so I first started like recreationally, like I wasn't competing. That was not my thing. And I actually took a year off because SKIMO was not my thing. None of my best friends did it at that point. And so I took a year off, and I was a big mountain biker, and then I came back to it, and then had a whole new crew. Like Anders had brought all of his friends and all these girls from our bike team. And so all of a sudden became this like community that I absolutely fell in love with. And that's when going to World Cups became an opportunity, and that was just even cooler. It was the beginning of a new era for me.
Awesome. Yeah, like it's so much about who's in the
Oh,
sport, right?
it's about your friends, especially when you're that age.
And then like that's the amazing thing about Silver Fork is then like it just became the thing.
Yeah.
And then everyone was doing it. Which
Everybody.
then it just gets bigger and bigger and more awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Super cool.
Okay, Helen.
Okay, well, I'm the only person in this crew that's not from Utah. So I started SKIMO. My dad kind of convinced me to do the 3 peaks at Breckenridge, and I did it on heavy skis with him. Ended up winning a pair of Hagen light SKIMO skis in the raffle there. And then I kind of decided, SKIMO is not for me. Like, maybe it's kind of an older person's sport. Then when I was in 10th grade, so 2022, I ended up doing the Santa Fe race. So got back into it a little bit and met all of these kids on Silver Fork, and I was like, okay, well, maybe it's not an old And then I had actually a lot of fun at the Santa Fe race, and ended up doing the teams race the next day, which was the national championships for teams with Nina Martin and Delilah Stayberg. And that was a blast. We were a team of 3. And then these girls convinced me to go to the World Cup in Valoran. And I also just like met more people on Silver Fork at the powder keg. And yeah, basically the people brought me into this sport. And now, yeah, it's one of my favorite things. So yeah.
Amazing. Thanks.
For me, my name's Anders. And I started about 8 years old as well. And kind of on super heavy gear. I was on some old telly skis, like twin tip freestyle telly skis and boots that were twice my size. And my mom and mostly my dad, we'd like just tour around the house up near Brighton. And then I've known Sarah pretty much my whole life, and she was like, oh, you should do this race called the powder keg. And I was like, okay, like sure, don't really know anything about this, thought everyone was gonna be on telly gear. Almost didn't do it the night before, like was so iffy on whether I was gonna do it or not. Talked one of my friends into doing it. I was like, I'll do it if you do it. So we both show up on our super heavy gear. He actually did it in like a downhill ski like race suit and his downhill helmet. I was in like a whole medley of equipment, and yeah, did the powder keg. And then Sarah and my mom kind of started Silver Fork, and then it's grown from here. But as far as like taking racing a little bit more serious, I think I started around 14 or 15, but kind of always raced for fun. Definitely some great times.
Cool. Yeah, Sarah describes it for you, Anders, of you were kind of the equivalent of the kid on the soccer field picking dandelions.
Yeah, no, for sure. That was me. Yeah, I was chasing butterflies and like building jumps. There was, it went from like SKIMO skis to splitboard for a little bit to like faction park skis, back to SKIMO skis. It was a whole, quite the journey.
Cool. Yeah, I'd love to hear. So Sarah was a guest on the podcast a few months ago, but I'd love to hear specifically Anders and McCall, like being there from the beginning as like a kid, what it was like starting it all. Cause like, yeah, it's interesting. Like, I feel like about 10 years ago, 2014, 2015, 2016 is sort of when SKIMO started to become, let's call it mainstream in the US. Like that was the first time I was on ESPN and everything. I'm just kidding. But it was like, oh yeah. And then Sarah, who's like one of our peers that we're all racing with and racing against, she's like starting this club for like kids doing some SKIMO. And it was all like, oh, like that's cool. Great. And then no one ever really thought about it much after that. At least like people in Colorado, like that weren't seeing you guys out all the time. And then all of a sudden, like now flash forward 10 years and like we're all teammates and like doing these trips and races together. And it's like, you were the like 7, 8, 9-year-olds that I like vaguely knew that Sarah was like
Yeah.
building jumps with in the woods at night after school. And I'm like, yeah, now we're all like doing this together. So like, do you guys have anything to add about like the Silver Fork growth?
Yeah, I think it's been pretty pretty quick growth if you think about it. The first years were definitely like a smaller crew and
There's
just
this
kind of friends
picture.
with friends.
There's this picture of like 7 kids, and we're all in like the jankiest gear. And
Yeah.
it's a joke. Well, you
Yeah,
know,
it
the way
was
we
pretty
ran practice,
comical.
but it grew.
And then kind of like when Landon joined and a little bit before, it really started to grow quickly, and now it's really big, and like we have to cap it, and like it's a
Yeah.
big
Cap it at like
True.
65 or something.
something like yeah, it's
Yeah.
a big team. Like a lot of new faces every year, which is really cool to see, and like a lot of people in Salt Lake know about it that aren't even
Yeah.
really involved with it. Like I'll meet someone and they're like, oh, I've heard of Silver Fork Skimo, or you like wear your shirt to the climbing gym and they're like, oh, are you on Silver Fork Skimo? And you're like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
it's pretty cool. I'm like, oh, are you? And they're like, no, I just my like nephew does it or something
Yeah.
like that. Like it's pretty cool to see how much it's grown.
It started as a neighborhood function where all of the friends and we all just brought our friends to ski practice, and then it became, I think it grew a little bit more like steadily, and then we like had a team jacket, and it was like kind of a big deal to be like a like an organization. And then honestly, for me, when I came back to the sport when I was a little bit older, I was really big into mountain biking with my high school and with our club teams. And so I started pulling in my friends from, my little friend group outside of skiing, and I convinced them to do this ridiculous sport where you're running up in the dark and it's freezing cold and you race, and it's really, it's really challenging. But my friends were super enthusiastic about it. And so all of a sudden we had all these bike kids. And that's how Landon found out about it, is through my friend group, where we're all like, yeah, we're going to SKIMO practice Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it just kind of, I think it grew as all of us grew up. And like the kids that started the team grew up and found friends and found new sports that they loved, and it just like connected so many new kinds of people. And now it's like on our development team for mountain biking, like these little girls who are like in 6th grade want to come do this sport and for cross training or for whatever reason. And it's like we're now in spandex skin suits instead of like big downhill helmets. It's just come full circle through, I think, growing up.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, like, obviously credit to Sarah and all the coaches and all the parents and
Absolutely.
everyone that played their part, but credit to you guys too for like being open-minded as kids and taking this on and like, yeah, just seeing where this cool opportunity went. And then now you're traveling the world and making friends from all over and having experiences like this.
And I think like Sarah and all of the coaches really kind of let us be pretty free range with it. And I think that actually really helped grow the team. And like, she'd let us build jumps, or we would like go hide Toblerone chocolates for like avalanche practice, or like we'd have fun, like we'd put in the work, but we also had fun with it. And I think it just kind of built a community that was a lot more fun than I think some other teams.
I think that's the core of the junior focus, is like always having fun. Like we have practices now in Silver Fork where we're all dressed up doing interval, loops, and it's like mixed relays, but you're wearing crazy outfits. And onesies and all sorts of things. So I think, we definitely radiate that energy, I think, a lot. And at the end of the day, we're just exploring the mountains. Like that's all we're doing together, and we're just having fun with it. So no complaints.
Love it. Awesome. Thanks for that, you guys. So that's like Silver Fork and how a lot of the current juniors have made their way into SKIMO. Like obviously there's Helen in New Mexico and all the kids in Summit and people from all over and elsewhere in Utah too, with Park City and everything. But like that's sort of a good story of the pathway for like the sport getting started, or you guys getting started in the sport. But let's talk about this first like group World Cup trip. So because
I feel like I feel like we all just went over there. Like, none of us knew anything about it. Like, Griffin obviously like had raced before and we knew that he had been over there and done well and stuff. But we kind of all were like, oh, like there's this World Cup. We didn't have to like qualify for it, right? And it was really just like, who wants to go? And so we all kind of like signed up for it. And you know, there weren't many, like we were all in the U16 category at that point. And it was like the first time they had hosted a U16 World Cup ever, and they don't anymore again. So it was like the one time and the one race. And there were, you know, like maybe 8 of us, six girls total, or 8 girls and like 8 boys, or like or somewhere around there, less than 10. And yeah, it was just like this, like we met a bunch of kids and stuff, but it was more of just like very laid back and just a fun experience for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like it was super eye-opening. All of the other teams basically had their national team skin suits, and we showed up. And, like some people had skin suits. Like I think I wore the 2-piece Hagen skin suit, and there's a picture of me, and all my skins are falling out of the pocket, and like I'm running across the finish line, and I don't think anybody actually cared that my skins were falling out. And then yeah, our individual race, it was pretty sad. There wasn't too much snow. It was in the Pyrenees, and we basically had to do probably what the length of mixed relay is. We did loops, and the boot pack was basically on a bike trail, like dirt on
like
dirt.
you were just booting on dirt.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But it was, I mean, like all of these World Cups and all of these experiences, it's been great to meet everyone from the other countries and like given us so many connections. I mean, these kids have had someone from Poland.
Yes, Muay
and,
Thai.
like,
Shout out.
Shout out to Muay Thai. And Carson on our team had Laia from this Spanish team come stay with her too. So
and then also Eva
Eva,
from
and Eva
Czech team.
from
Yeah.
the Czech team. So
Yeah.
those connections.
Yeah,
Great.
and I feel like that World Cup, it was really just like us all bonding. And another big thing was like all of our parents were very like into it. It wasn't like my parents never pushed me in the sport at all. It was more like I wanted to do this, and they were all for it, and that's how a lot of our parents were. And we were able to like, you know, they had fun too, and it was like just a big like group party almost.
It was so fun.
Yeah, I think there's a really special thing about SKIMO is that it is a spectators have to skin up and be on the mountain. So like all these parents are skinning up, watching us go up the vertical race and just like hanging out with each other, which is really special.
Yeah.
It was a community of cowbells. Like everyone was
Yeah.
cheering us on. It was super fun.
And it's crazy to think like that was 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's like a thing for big groups of juniors and their families to travel to World Cups and go to World Championships and go on these big adventures. Like I know that, so the World Championships last year in Morjan, we had a huge youth contingent, and you guys all took like weeks off school and did Worlds. A few people did Pierre-Menta and then into the Youth World Cup after that, and like traveled around as a big group. So like it's only been 2 years, or is 2 years from then to then, but now it's like normalized for you guys to be doing stuff like that. Can you guys talk a little bit about that like big trip last year? Really, anyone?
I mean, yeah, it was like it was very different from that first World Cup. I think it kind of started with like the year before that. So last year was like our 3rd season racing in Europe. The year before that, Helen and Anders and I went to Germany for a World Cup, and that was like, it felt more real, and I feel like we were more like focused on the racing there.
Yeah.
And then we all went to Molde in Norway for like the Youth World Cup finals, as well as multiple other kids. And that was a big like step forward. And I feel like everyone was taking racing more seriously. It was more of like a race trip and not like we're going to.
We were not quick though. Like we were learning.
And we were still
serious.
like mid to back of the pack mostly, right? I mean, there's Griff. And so then like we were all like back. And then like this year we get there, and it seems like everyone just, like we obviously all train different, I think. And I think Silver Fork changed things. Like we did more intervals and like we kept it fun, but lots of stuff changed. And then we were all like, kind of like our names were like coming up a little farther in the race and like top 10 and then like podiums in World Cups. And like, it's like people started noticing the US and not like just like, Griffin, and then there was like no other youth that
Yeah.
like no one really knew us at all. And then it was like people started like following us on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool that we like all kind of were able to climb the ladder in it just in a year, really.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, for people that don't know, a lot of times at the end of the season, we trade suits or we trade a jacket, and maybe in that in those first few World Cups, people were like, I don't think I want to trade like my nice like suit for your suit, or like my nice jacket. And this year, people were like, yeah, let's trade. And we ended
We
up
got
getting
phone numbers of people.
Yeah,
It was
phone
super
numbers, and
fun.
like definitely made more connections because of how well people were doing. Yeah, it's great.
And specifically, you guys talk about what it was like to do Pyramenta Juniors, because like I want the whole world to experience Pyramenta, because I think it's like peak life experience, like not peak racing experience. Can you guys talk about what the juniors
I
race
feel
was
like,
like?
so I like found like I knew that Worlds was happening then, and I wanted to do like a big trip because Worlds was pretty close to Pyramenta, and time wise it worked well. And then Pyramenta was decently close to Puy-Saint-Vincent for that final World Cup. So I was just like thinking how cool it would be to have like a month block of racing and include that Pyramenta. And I got my friend Ben in on it, who we are always racing and training together and having a lot of fun. And so we were convinced of it. And then I also convinced Stella to join me with her dad. And then we convinced Helen to stay in order for Stella to have a partner in the Pyramenta. And so we just kind of went there, like not really thinking we would do well, honestly. I mean, after like we all had some good results at Worlds, and like it wasn't like this. I mean, it was still crazy to think that we would like podium at Pyramenta, but like we didn't know, right? And there were like other teams similar, kind of like Silver Fork, like not the national teams, but like there was like different Italian like valley teams in vans and like uniform. It was very similar, like just like the youth teams. And yeah, we each had like quite a few like teams in our like age categories, and Ben and I ended up getting second both days and second overall, and then they ended up winning both days and overall. And it was definitely more than we expected. And that race was.
And you're talking about like you wanted to talk about like the experience of it.
Yeah,
Like
please.
That's the
seriously,
coolest part.
there are hundreds of people that you just see like getting off the lift and skinning up, and you are going on like you're on this ridge, and it's like being in the Tour de France. I just couldn't stop smiling, and I was like, how is this real?
Yeah.
Like I had to pinch myself because it was insane.
Like the whole town just like comes up that day, right? That final day of the race. And they made sure like we were doing smaller courses, but they bumped us up a lift so that we could be in that like people tunnel. And so the whole town is up there. Like there were thousands of people.
Yeah.
And
like when you said hundreds,
Yeah,
like
like
there
thousands.
There are thousands. There are thousands of people.
and
Yeah.
it's just like a sea of people and so much noise, and you get in there and it's just like it was crazy. Like you can't talk to anyone, and it's just like you're smelling like the smoke from like the gas from all of the chainsaws, and it's just everyone's partying. And then there was like a jump in it, and everyone was like cheering, and they were also like, we wore our national team suits just because like we were the first USA junior teams that ever do that race, so we wanted to like show that. And people were like stoked with it, right? They were like cheering for the USA and stuff, and like you could hear everyone be surprised when we were up front in the race. And it was just like such a cool experience, the whole thing. But really that like top, everyone skins to the top of this mountain, like tiny kids, old guys, like everyone. And it was just like
I mean, and it was incredible to have the pros with us, because in part of the course it wraps around, so we're actually, I mean, it was a little bit intimidating, but literally being passed by the pros on the downhill boot pack in the tunnel, which was definitely and like mashed potato snow. Everyone was like, it was chaotic, but such an incredible experience.
And then the transition zone with probably a couple hundred people just around that, like all
closing in on the transition zone.
At Col de la Forclaz, they've counted 3,000 people. In one transition.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think this is the area that you guys are.
That's exactly the area, and it was just really epic.
Yeah, I mean, this is incredible, you guys, that you're skiing on this mythical course and traveling around and making friends from all over the world and making friendships stronger with each other and having these experiences. But you guys are 17, 18, 19? It's
No, we're all
17.
like-
We're all 17, 18.
Yeah,
All
all
18.
18.
Okay, we're all 18.
Yeah.
So, like, you guys are doing this, but you're all either just finished school, about to finish school, about to start college, have just started college. Like, I want to hear about the balancing with that. Starting with Helen, can you talk about presenting to your school
Yeah.
why you needed to go on this trip? And then I want to hear from whoever wants to jump in after that.
Yeah, so basically, Landon had proposed to me this month trip, and I was like, this is the end of my senior year. Like, I don't know about this, like being gone for a month. But he ended up convincing me, and I, basically had to sit down in a room with all of my teachers, the head of school, the head of after school. I think like the college counselors, like everyone was in this room, and I presented to them like why I want to go on this trip, why this is a good experience, a good learning experience, working on languages, working on, just meeting people. And I don't know, it helps me, like it will help me live life in the future. But yeah, it was pretty crazy to just have to like sit down and actually present why I wanted to go on this trip.
But it worked.
And they, like, my teachers, I'm super grateful for them. They were super accommodating. And yeah, I was able to spend a month in Europe, and definitely had to do, like, I was doing an essay right the day before the Pyramenta, but it all worked out.
Like our rest days in
Yeah.
Chamonix after Pyramenta, that's where we went after for like a training block for a week. Our rest days definitely were like homework like all day.
Yeah.
Some days like 8-9 hours of homework. But
Yeah.
I was a junior in high school last year, and let me tell you, junior year is no joke. I was in like super hard classes, and like for example, I was in AP calculus, and Landon was my tutor. And so I was on the plane to Europe, and I was like doing nonstop homework. Like that's just the reality. We have friends who do homework on the, side of the course. And
even like this trip right now,
like, we've
coming back,
still-
like homework on the plane and
Yeah.
whenever we like can't fit
it's
it,
just
right?
discipline, I think.
Yeah.
Like we are very strong with our to-do lists, and we have a lot to get done, but it's a productive block regardless of training or, school. But on this plane ride there, I was like going back to Landon's chair, and he was helping me figure out how to do this math, and it was just, I don't know, I think school and training they're actually very compatible, because I don't think I would be able to do well in school without having the exploration and the break of training.
Okay.
And I'm really grateful for that, because yes, it's a super stressful to plan and to beg teachers, like, like take tests early and stuff like that. But it keeps me going. Like I have two things that I care a lot about, and having goals that are not just athletic have been really important to me to keep, honestly, mental clarity, and like just like focus on, one thing at a time, but like know that it's not just who you are as a podium or a gold medal or anything like that. But I don't know, it's hard to explain to teachers what you're doing and why you're doing it, and the level of importance it is, but it's super, super worth it.
And I also really feel like, right, like it might seem like, oh, we can all take all this time off of school, like maybe we just like go the easy route in school, but that's really like,
No.
not the case. Like I think we all like challenged ourselves in school and out of school, like in other things, right? And it's like we like really, it seems like kind of a trend in the whole SKIMO team where everyone is like in AP classes and stuff. We're not in core classes.
No.
We were like
We work
taking
hard.
hard courses. It's just like we were still figuring out how to work around it, and it wasn't, like I make sure that like sport doesn't interfere with my school, because I like understand that I think education is something that I also need to have like in my life, like a good education. And so like being able to still work hard and try hard in school, but also do that in sport is what we figured out. But
I think it's just planning, honestly, though. Like I've taken a lot of summer classes. I'm graduating high school early to go race this World Cup season.
Yeah.
And the only reason that's can happen is because I've kind of organized the past 4 years of my life. Like that World Cup in, Valorant really was like eye-opening that this could be a lifestyle for us. And I'm grateful that experience happened the year it did, because then when we all started training, I was expecting to, have really big goals of qualifying for World Cups. And yeah, I mean, the summer classes, we got it all done. And we just really, I think we honestly found value being at school too. Like, I didn't want to go online
Yeah.
necessarily because it's like our community is at school and it's on the slope, and it's just important to have that balance, I think.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I ended up kind of prioritizing like training and sports, and then as well as school. And I think just working hard through school really kind of I was able to graduate a year early, which really helped me. And I also did online school, which just worked well for where I live and like all the other things I was trying to do. So I was able to work really hard at school, but also get it done a lot faster than I think you do at a traditional school.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that worked really well for me, and was able to graduate. Like last year would have been my senior year, but ended up just having a gap year last year and was able to focus just on SKIMO mostly. I mean, as well as like other things, but gave me a lot more time to train and to be able to go race for a month. And
Yeah, like I like what you said, Landon, that what you all described of you're not compromising of
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm just gonna take all this time off and do a bunch of SKIMO and then
Totally.
school stuff, where you guys are like taking the steps you need to make sure
Mhm.
you're excelling in.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and like even now, right? Like Anders works hard and has a job, and then like Helen
In a
is-
company.
yeah.
Like, hello.
and then Helen like is taking a gap year this year and then going to Bates where she's signed.
Yeah,
for-
I mean, throughout high school, I was honestly more focused on running than I was on SKIMO, and like I was still able to kind of ride on my running fitness through the SKIMO season and then come back for track. But yeah, I'm taking a gap year to fully focus on SKIMO, which I've never done before. So I definitely want to see where my fitness can get to with SKIMO and transitions, all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm basically taking a gap year and then going to run in college at Bates.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so it's like we're still like working hard, right? Like I'm in a semester of college now, and then I'm taking next semester off. McCall's finishing senior year early to take next semester off. And it's just like figuring that out so that we can still race, but also not like compromise. Like I don't think I'm gonna really have to go to college for a 5th year because of this, because of all the APs I took. And so it like allows me to do this really.
Yeah, it's like you guys aren't taking time off for your SKIMO and then you're going to catch up later or take your 5th or 6th year. Like you're keeping pace or
Yeah.
staying ahead
Yeah.
academically while
Yeah.
doing all this, which is insane. And can you repeat your quote about when you were heading to the first World Cup, like you thought it was a one-time thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'll let you say it.
Yeah, at lunch I was saying, yeah, I thought kind of the World Cup was going to be a fun one-time thing, and like once in a lifetime, I'm going to go to France, like race in a World Cup, but then I'm going to come home and focus on running, like go run in college. And then, yeah, the winter rolled around and I was like, oh, my skis just feel so good. Like I want to get back out on my skis, maybe for cross training, and then got sucked into it again. And then last year I was like, maybe I'll do powder keg, maybe I'll focus on college. And then, yeah, ended up doing powder keg, qualified for the world champs. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take this month now.
Yeah.
And it honestly worked out perfectly. And I'm really grateful that Bates has been super accommodating with like being a student athlete or a future student athlete, and also being a professional athlete right now. That's
Yeah.
what the lifestyle I'm living. So yeah.
Awesome. And then just like last thing to put a bow on this, like we're doing this week-long international training trip. We're skiing in September. We're like climbing peaks in Italy. We're doing all these like, yeah, hard, full training camp and great experience. And then you guys are going to fly home on Tuesday. And then McCall, for example, you go to high school on
Yeah.
Wednesday morning.
Yeah, I get home at 10:30 and then I have 7:30 a.m. tests. So
reality.
yeah.
Sanity. Awesome. Thanks, you guys. And then, so like I know, like McCall, you said that having both of these things happen with like being in school, being at this big transition point in life that you guys are all in, and balancing that with SKIMO is actually, they support each other,
Absolutely.
which is awesome, but it is a ton. Like you
Yeah.
guys
Oh,
are
yeah.
doing a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot to manage. It's a lot, even if SKIMO in school is the only thing, but you guys are going on adventures. You guys are having fun. You guys are
It's high school and
doing a
college.
lot. Yeah.
It's life.
And Anders, we were talking earlier about like you kind of learning how and when you need to rest.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, yeah, learning from watching the seniors or like learning from your like peers. Like, yeah, talk to me about
and I
what you were
think
saying earlier.
I think like for all of us, rest is like kind of a hard thing to do. Like when you take a rest day where you can't go bike or ski or run or like do something, it's like I at least like have to be doing something. And I mean it's like I like to be restful, but like I think there are a lot of other activities that are also restful that aren't just like sitting on the couch scrolling reels
Yeah.
and like eating protein, and, you know, like you can like go. I think there's like mental rest and physical rest. You have to like respect both of them equally.
That's
because you can feel great mentally and your legs just can't keep up, and sometimes your legs will feel great and you're mentally just not in it. And both are, you need to have both at their peak to race.
Yeah, I feel like so after we went to Piramenta, we had like a week in Chamonix, and Anders joined us for part of that, and like was with a different group at first, and then did some skis with us, and that was really like we were not supposed to ski as much as we did. I put in one of my biggest volume weeks of the year right then, right? But it was like I was in Chamonix and I had my ice axe and my crampons, and like we could go up the Aiguille du Midi and like ski a crazy line off that, and then like go across the valley, and it just like I wasn't willing to not do that for racing, but it wasn't like I was like sacrificing my races where I'm like, okay, well, like whatever about this next World Cup block, I'm just gonna ski here. It was more of like I knew that maybe if I did like if I rested and did some intervals, maybe I'd like maybe have like a little bit more for like one race, but I knew that like where it wasn't hurting as much as like it wasn't really hurting it. Yeah, and it was just like a good mental break. And then like we went into that next World Cup, and all of us who were there and like McCall had to go home and then come back right
At high school.
but like we all did great, even though that big volume week like might have not been the most ideal thing. I just think it like was kind of needed.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of had like a similar thing. Went to Sham, did a whole bunch of like climbing at first, and then the group I was with kind of like dispersed a little bit, and my friend and I, we ended up going to Italy, like the coast of Italy, leaving our skis in Chamonix and just like packing a little pack and going to the coast of Italy, and we like swam in the Mediterranean, ate a bunch of good food, just kind of like didn't really focus on skiing or like I mean we were running and walking around and exploring, but it was just kind of a change of pace and change of environment. And then went back to Chamonix and just kept doing a whole bunch of skis and did a little bit more focused training, and was just a lot more excited for the next World Cup and was feeling more ready for it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I want to hear a little bit about you guys adventuring outside of SKIMO too, because we had a bit of a break between senior World Cups towards the end of last season too. And a lot of the athletes went to Sham at the same time, and we were getting there right as you guys were leaving. And I, for example, was staying with Arthur Whitehead, and we were like, okay, well, let's head out, do some ski tours, climb some peaks, go up on the glaciers, have some adventure. And we were like, well, what were the high schoolers up to last week? Like, let's go find their Stravas and see where the good conditions are, which is kind of a crazy thing. So yeah, talk about like some of the like side quests you guys have been on these trips too, and combining the racing with the adventure. Like I know you guys do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, like Chamonix, we definitely did a bunch of side quests. Like we would go climbing, or like I saw Ben and I found a Via Ferrata course that was like in town, and we like walked over there one day and did it, even though we should have been resting. But it was like we were in Chamonix, and then we like did I think the notable side quest there was Helen and Stella and Ben and Stella's dad and we all went and we went and summited this mountain called Mont Buet, which is like on the other side of like the Aguidu Midi and all that. And then we kind of like skied down, and we had brought ropes and stuff. And then to get out, it was like so this was like 6 hours in, and then it was like a full on canyoneering adventure in the snow, and it was like a raging waterfall that we had to rappel, and Helen had to rappel. And
Yeah, I have never rappelled in my life. And I was rappelling down this waterfall, and Landon was like, "Whatever you do, do not let go of the rope."
right,
And
breaks your
yeah, and so it was kind of on this ledge that was a little bit slippery, and I did not let go of the rope, but my feet slipped off off the rock, and I was suspended underwater with still holding onto the rope, and I had to slowly lower myself down, and I was in down pants, down jacket,
full ski gear,
full ski gear,
it's like
full
puffy,
ski, yeah,
and then we're in a waterfall.
and we're in a waterfall, so soaked to the bone. And then after we got through the waterfall, then we had to hike out on this hiking trail all the way back to a different town that was
for miles.
Yeah, for miles. There were possibly some tears.
But it was also very fun.
Yeah, it was also very fun. And I called my mom, and I was like, "Mom, can you pick us up in this next town over from Sham?"
Because
And
we were gonna get a train, but once we were soaked to the bone, I was honestly a little bit worried about hypothermia and just like getting sick or something, right?
Yeah.
So we had a mom come to the rescue.
Yeah. And also, for the audience, most of us have our wilderness first responders, and I feel like in general we're pretty responsible with our adventuring. But
for sure.
We
knew what we were getting into. I did have my explained everything. But I knew because one of our friends, Nina, had done it earlier this season, so I knew it was going to be like a canyoneering adventure, and we were prepared. But definitely,
you were prepared. No, it was really, really fun.
Yeah.
Definitely a highlight of the trip.
Amazing. And you guys do some avalanche awareness as part of SKIMO training, and Sarah said something about redoing your rescue cert basically every year.
Silver Fork does an AVI almost refresher course at the beginning of every year.
Yeah.
And it's just the basics on, kind of what an AVI 1 covers. And I think that's really important because a lot of us call exploring and, mountaineering as training. We're so lucky to. And that's not always safe. So it's we are very much educated in either wilderness first responder or AVI certs. None of us are out there irresponsibly making dumb decisions that we don't understand the consequences of. And Sarah, I think, has been a really good role model to kind of guide us all in the right direction of that. And just support us through making good choices always.
And I think that's huge with a youth team when we have these younger kids coming in and seeing what we do is making it clear, I guess, that there is risk to it, and obviously we are all you can't avoid that risk, but you can take
understand
courses and be able to mitigate that better. I just we're young, but I feel we all have a really, really good sense of safety in the mountains, and Ben and I went on this trip in June, and we were doing objectively dangerous things probably every day, right? We were doing big climbing objectives at 14,000 feet and big canyoneering days, and all of those things have big risks. But I just feel I definitely don't think we know everything, and I don't want it to sound like that, but I just think that we have a special, we've gotten more education at this young age than a lot of people who do that stuff do in their lifetimes. And I think that's why we've been able to do it and stay safe, really. And good mentors as well, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of good mentors. And I think also being young, you want to learn as much as you can so you can go ski with your role models and stuff. And but it's you gotta be one of you kind of need to know what you're doing.
Yeah, you want to be a
so I think it's when you're
Mhm.
when you're young, you want to try to learn and get to that point as quick as you can.
On that, one of the things I'm most grateful for in this group is that everyone in this room, I trust to go on a ski tour with them and an adventure. my friends are super rock solid, and I trust their judgment. I trust their knowledge and their skill. And we've had friends be in really dire, nearly like deadly situations with accidents. And I cannot stress enough how good the judgment is in our, like, in the Silver Fork youth team. I trust any of us to get us out of a situation. And I think honestly, we're really strong because each of us have our own strengths. And like Anders might be really good at, finding a way to get out of a forest, and Landon may know exactly how to treat a wound or an injury. And it's like, and there's also an emotional support to that, where it's, you have to choose your backcountry group really, like, you have to be really diligent about who you include on that. And being aware of the world that you're walking into is intimidating, and a lot of friends are not in the sport because it is intimidating. But you just have to like really focus on who you're with, who you're spending time with, and who you're learning from. Because without, I mean, we've based a community off that when you think about it,
For
but
sure.
it's just vital.
And I feel like there's always people, like, especially in Salt Lake, right? Because it's kind of that, like, that outdoor community, and there's like teenagers that get excited and go out and like get hurt. But I really feel like that, like, our team has like tried to mitigate that as much as possible, and it's been quite successful.
Yeah, I would agree.
Sure.
Cool. Congrats to you guys. Thanks. Like, it's, yeah, super cool that you guys are being really well-rounded with your pursuits in the mountains too. Like, you guys are racing and pushing it hard in SKIMO race formats, and also having fun, and also like pushing the limits from a kind of, yeah, skills perspective in a safe way, which is awesome. So you guys are getting a lot out of life, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And like, it makes me want to ask, like, you guys are making huge sacrifices to be able to do this, because all four of you are either on a gap year or going to be on a gap semester in the spring to be able to basically have a World Cup SKIMO season.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of work. You guys are putting in a ton in school, a ton in just logistics of life to be able to do that. And it's a huge lift. And that's not something that many people do. So I guess the question I want to pose to the group is why? Like, why does SKIMO make you want to rearrange your life to go on these like awesome adventures? Like, what brings you into this,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think SKIMO has pretty much always been a part of my life, and I think that I love like the athletics of it as well as where it takes you. And I've been to so many cool places that I probably wouldn't have been without SKIMO, and met so many people that I otherwise wouldn't have. Like everyone here at this table and on this camp, I probably wouldn't really know. And met most all my best friends this way. And I think it's cool to just keep, like, there's so many parts of it that I would do like just that one part. And then when you combine them all together, it makes this like perfect sport.
Yeah,
And
so cool.
Totally. For me, I mean, to echo what Anders just said, like the people and the mountains and the places that we get the opportunities to go to is amazing. But also, like, for me, I wrote my college essay on this, like the getting over the challenges and, yeah, pushing through adversity, getting to the top of that mountain, getting to the top of that peak, like that is probably the thing that keeps me coming back.
It's kind of addictive. Right?
Yeah, it's addictive.
It's
It is addictive.
It
yeah,
is, yeah.
for sure.
I think, I mean, all of us sitting here are all hungry to, bag peaks and summit mountains. And I think that's what keeps me going, is like, I have now unlocked this capability to do things that I've literally seen pictures of, and I can do it fast, and I can do it with light skis, and I can do it with confidence that I am aware, like I have the knowledge that I need to be
like
there.
the right skill set.
The right skill set, exactly. And I have the friends to do it with. And I like SKIMO is just such an amazing source of every aspect that I've been searching for. Like, it's a whole new friend group, it's a whole new community, and it's like keeps me athletic, and it keeps me fit, and it is like there's goals within it. It's not just we're going and playing. It's where we have hard workouts to overcome, just like, Helen was saying. There's a lot of challenge and there's a lot of hard days in mountains with, ending with tears and adventures or just like tears from workouts or, there's a lot of stress, I think, but what makes it worth it is the environment you're in with the people you love. Like, it's just really special.
Yeah,
Group.
I also think there's something really special to be said about how like we can call like backcountry skiing training, because I really think like that is one of the coolest sports you can do, right? We don't have to follow a trail. You basically see something and you say, oh, I want to go ski that, and you can. And like, sure, there's other sports that might be similar, but I think that we've just found that to be our favorite personally for a lot of reasons. And like the fact that we can race hard and at a competitive level, but also train like that, like sometimes we have to sacrifice that. And like maybe like this year, like during the season, we will do a little bit less of that. But then after we have all this fitness that we've built and we can go like do, like I'm already thinking about all the crazy adventures I want to do in April once the season's done. So I just think that's what
you can
really
unlock.
makes this work.
You can unlock so much more with the fitness we've built, and so it's super rewarding.
Yeah. And I think also like traveling, like you could go on vacation to Italy or whatever, but I think all of us in this room love pushing ourselves as hard as we can, or pushing ourselves as much as we can, and to like go somewhere and be like, oh, I had a really hard interval up that hill, or like, oh, I almost like felt like I was gonna die right there. It makes the trip a lot more memorable. And you go back and you like look at a hill and you're like, oh, that was a really hard vert course. But this last summer, my girlfriend and I, we were living in Spain for a couple months, and we actually went and watched the Tour de France, which was amazing. And it was where our first race was in Valoran, was where the like time trial stage took place. And it was like, oh, there's the vert course that we raced. And now I'm watching pro cyclists race like the road that we all drove up to at the start. And it's just, I think it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And even, I mean, at this hotel right now, we're looking up at these huge mountains. And we're like, those are so tall. And then, I mean, tomorrow we're going to race up one of those.
So rad.
And yesterday we were at the top of one of those. So, yeah.
I think, like when we were previewing that course, I was, trying to keep in zone and like be aware of the fitness part of it. But like, I was just looking around and freaking jaw was dropped. These mountains are amazing.
One of those races where it's just like going to be fun no matter what happens. Because
that's the best part.
Climbing like a mountain from this town to the top of
you can be in zone 5, barely able to breathe, but you can look to your left and see something that you are so lucky to see.
Yeah.
It's just, it's the best. How are we, like, we're so lucky.
Yeah, we're so lucky and so grateful for all these experiences and opportunities.
Like tomorrow, if I come in dead last, I'll still be so happy. Like you just get to the top and look at the view. And it's
you have the Dolomites. You're kidding?
Yeah. So we should have done this podcast outside of it.
But, well, I'll get you guys all back outside here in a second for our next sessions here in training camp. But before we wrap up, I know this is sort of a little bit in the vein that we were just on, but Travis loves to just ask people directly, why should people ski uphill? So you guys have explained that over the course of this podcast, but give me your elevator spiel, right? Like you're riding from the first floor to the third floor. You only have 15 seconds to talk to someone. And they say, like, why should people ski uphill? Why should they be in the SKIMO? Let's start with Landon and move our way across the circle.
I think that people should ski uphill because it unlocks like a whole new just like view on life, really, and like a whole new like segment of your life that I have found to be one of the most rewarding of all.
Really
awesome.
Skiing uphill is life changing. Like echoing that, it's so important to push yourself and to know you're capable of so much, and to also appreciate the process, like, the journey, like that whole niche quote. But that journey is so important to the top of that peak, to the end of that interval. It's like, so you just build so much about, like, you learn about yourself, but you build yourself in that process.
Yeah, I really like what you said, McCall, about the process. And I think what's important to add on to that is getting to that top of that mountain and looking at the view and looking at the process that you just went through. And also, I had this conversation with my dad the other day. Like, the process is never over. There's always another peak. There's always another challenge. And I feel like there are endless possibilities, which is really special.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. And I think that's one of the beauties of it is you just feel so rewarded because you're in a beautiful place, but you really worked hard to get there. And you feel like pretty proud to be at the fitness you are and the places you are with the people you've met along the way.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys, one more time so much for doing this. This is so fun for me, and I think people are going to love hearing like the lives you guys are living and the adventure you're on. And
Of course.
it's going to be super cool to
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Of
thank you
course,
so
yeah.
much.
Yeah. This is awesome.
can't wait to watch you guys crush this season.
Yeah.